Hey there, it's Dr. Terry Levine from Heartrepreneur, and I have a really important guest with me today, and I mean really important guest. I'm going to introduce to you Darlene, who's with Peachtree, because I have been talking a lot about getting out of the business and really not being caught up in working in the business and moving into the CEO chair. And this is what I've done for myself. I didn't do it in my first business because I didn't know any better. And I've done it ever since. And I've helped clients do this. And in our community the other day, I found a number of you going, yeah, I'm sitting in the wrong chair. So, number one, I brought her here for that. And number two, she has a very unique service through Peachtree that you actually really need to know about. So, Darlene, thanks for making time for me today. I so appreciate you.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you having me.
So, tell people a little bit about Peachtree, what you do, how you're different, and then let's get into it.
Yeah, so we Peachtree VA is a little different from some of the services out there because we are all US based. We have highly vetted seasoned professionals that are ready to hit the ground running. We also do an intentional matching process because you know as well as I do, you can have somebody that can do the job, but you want that chemistry as well to have a team member. Many of my clients are solopreneurs. That's their team. They want someone who could be a thought partner, understand them, get them. And so we match according to skill set as well as personality. And then we have scalable model because as you know, delegation is not easy, especially for entrepreneurs. So we give them like a little bit of a bite size where they can grow as their delegation muscles grow.
This is so important because if we're not, first of all, if we're not sitting in the CEO chair, we're doing tasks all day and we can help our clients and we're not staying in our zone of genius. I'm very blessed that I am able to focus and stay in my zone of genius. I'm business consultant. That's what I do. I'm the visionary for the company. And yet, even though I have a team of people, that team of people needs to function and needs to fit and needs to match the Heartrepreneur brand. So I love the fact that you all do matching. Can I tell on myself real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay. So within the last year, I guess it's 2 years, I brought on 6 additional virtual assistants. And I need to just tell you up front, they were non-US based. Number one, they were working at hours that didn't work for me because I needed somebody like right now. I have a client this morning who actually needed access to something that I just like a VA could give it. Well, if I still had all my VAs overseas, they'd come on at night and the client would wait all day. So, number one, that wasn't serving me. Number two, I found out that they lose internet a lot. Some of their countries even turn off the internet on occasion. So I have people that didn't work for like 4 days, 5 days in a row, or power outages. And the biggest thing, and I'm really sad to say this because I did have to let someone on my team go. I have 6 of them now, all gone. One of them yesterday misunderstood because we're not speaking the same language natively. And so I've learned, Darlene, through expensive mistakes, that if you're a US based business, it is really beneficial to have a matched VA who happens to be in the US. What would you say to hearing my transparent story?
Unfortunately, I hear that a lot in the seat that I sit in. I even have clients say, "Hey, I'm going to go offshore. I don't, this is expensive for me." And I understand it. Everybody is met at a different place. I just warn them, right? If you have something that is if you want to spoon feed tasks and it's data entry and you can have somebody check it and that type of thing, then, that might be the best use of your money and time. But most of my clients need someone who is going to be an extension of them because you know as well as I do, if it's somebody who's working for you, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, however you're communicating, if they are not representing you and understand you and your brand and who you are, even when there's just subtle misses, it can destroy your brand and your reputation. So I just encourage my clients that to utilize US VAs for the higher level, for that communication piece of it. And then once they kind of shake out the systems, if there's things that are just tasks, they need a task rabbit, then go for it.
Yeah, I think that's really, really great advice. One of the things that I fell in love with when I was first introduced to you was the whole idea of matching. That is so important. I've been very fortunate. I do have one assistant on my team. He's like my right hand and my left hand. He's been with me about 20 years. And he gets me, right? Because he's been around me so much. He works for me full time. He can speak like me. He can write like me. He can think like me. He can make decisions like me. That didn't come initially. It took 20 years of us being on this journey. However, most of my client family members don't have that. And as I was in one of my communities the other day and I did a training in there, I said, how many of you don't have that? Everyone raised their hand, like every single person raised their hand. So that whole idea of matching is essential. And I'm going to, again, burn the curtain a little, not on me, on a friend of mine. I got an email from his new VA today. And literally, I guess he's just having her send out emails, and clearly they didn't, I guess, sit down and really think about who not to send them to. Okay. I speak to him 3 or 4 times a week. He's a really close friend. And it came like this. The subject line was, we haven't spoken in a while. I'm like, so I open it up and it's dear name. Okay. Person missed putting in who we're speaking with. Since we haven't spoken in several years, and I didn't go any further, right? So I pinged him over on Facebook. I'm like, hey, you told me you got a new VA. You might want to check this.
Mhm.
While mistakes can happen, that is detrimental to a brand. That actually, to me, was a bit insulting. It's like, seriously, you're sending me this email? I want people to take a moment and think when you're trying to save a few pennies or a few bucks, can that destroy your brand? And as someone who has been there, done that, it can really hurt it. The quote, little mistake that happened yesterday in my company, which was a big mistake now. I have 16 messages on Facebook, 2 emails, and a voicemail from the people who received this error message. And so let me just kind of sum it up for people. Instead of getting a welcome message like, hey, really happy you joined my Facebook group, it was a message for someone who'd been in the chat for a long time who would ask to get into my program, and it was a payment link. So instead of welcome to the group, it's here's how you pay. I'm still mortified, as you can.
Yeah, that creates confusion and all of those different things. There's so much, Terry, that can go wrong even when things are laid out well. But certainly when someone is not familiar with the brand and really critically thinking like, is this what I should be sending to someone? Or, asking questions. My clients love when they get pushback too. Like, are you sure? Not that you're questioning everything from the leader, but for me, I move so fast. If my VA is not on top of, she's on top of it more than I am. I am the one that would probably send dear name or something like that if I did it myself. So, it really, she makes me look good because she's like, hey, did you see this? Or, that accountability piece when you are wearing so many hats within your role.
That's a really good point. I have to chuckle about that because I think this just happened on Monday or maybe Tuesday, where in Slack, James, my assistant, said, I know you sent me this email to go out, but you might want to reread the subject line. And I was like, what's wrong with the subject line? He wrote the subject line. It was horrible. I don't know. I'm busy doing it. And I think I wrote like half of it, went on to something else and just hit send. And it was like half of a subject. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's another really important piece. I'm glad you brought that up. I want to have people who think on their feet. So I was in Peru for 14 days. No electronics, zero. My phone literally became a camera. I didn't talk to anyone. There was no texting. There was no email. There was no social media. There was no news. My phone was a camera. My company ran. In fact, $63,000 came in. My team's like, go away more. Why?
Sounds wonderful.
It is because I sit in the CEO chair, and when I'm not there, my VA understands how to keep the company running. So I'm curious, what are some of the tasks that Peachtree can take over?
I always go through like a broad stroke, just depending. But what I would say is because most of my clients, again, are entrepreneurs and wearing all the hats, strategic calendar management is number one. Most of my clients would not miss a meeting, but there's also another 40 to 60 hours nowhere on their calendar. They wonder why they're burnt out. So one person, one calendar. Your family, I have clients that volunteer, they're on boards, all of those different things. Get it all on one calendar. So when you're looking at it, you can have that deep time for work or client work and different things like that to ensure that your workflow and you're operating in your zone of genius and with your flow. Also, I would say, email is the bane of everybody's existence, right? Like just managing email, and people get so nervous with email because they're like, well, they won't know. None of this has to be an all or nothing, right? You don't have to turn the keys of the kingdom over to your VA day one. There's a learning curve. As you build that trust, you can give them more and more. Start by them organizing your inbox, having things forwarded to them, give them their own email address. This way you could start diverting people to them. Um, Document preparation. There's also, presentations. Even with the back to the calendar management, like when I have many different calls with that in the day, being business development. So if it's a client call, my VA gathers up who they are, links to their business. I do my due diligence before I'm on the call, but I don't have to search for it because usually I have a very small window in between call to call. So I can show up being my best and operate at my best. And then after the call, I like to take handwritten notes. I hate to type when I'm on a call. I take a picture of it, drop it in Slack. She uploads the call with my notes into HubSpot because if it was up to me, I'd never get it done because I'm on to the next thing. So, it's really leaving that person in their sweet spot to maximize what they can do best. Most entrepreneurs are high achievers. So, can they do the work? Absolutely. We could figure anything out, right? But should we? Where's our time best spent? When you're turning clients away, when you are not focusing on revenue generation, generating tasks, that is when you're like, you know what? My efforts are in the wrong spot.
I'm glad you mentioned that because before I realized the power of having a team of virtual assistants, I was probably wasting a ton of money because I was doing everything. So I didn't have time to do business development. And then one day I thought, well, how can new clients come in if I'm so busy doing all of this tasks? And that's when I said, I'm going to bite the bullet. I was just starting in the business. I'm like, okay, I know money isn't flowing in like crazy. However, you're either in it or you're not in it. You
Mhm.
either go, I'm in business and therefore there's expenses. And I always equate this to if you're going to open a restaurant or a grocery store, you know that you have to get staff, you have to get equipment, you have to do marketing, you have to have food, whatever it is. You don't just go, I'm just going to wait till I make money because you can't. So
Yeah.
I advocate that if you're ready to really expand your business, you've got to get yourself in the CEO chair. And the way to do that, in my experience, and I've worked with 7,500 entrepreneurs around the globe, is to get at least one virtual assistant and to have that virtual assistant really be a team member who understands you, who gets you. I know because it's been years of doing this, I can trust my virtual assistant, my chief virtual assistant, James, with anything. He
Yeah.
is in my email. He has access to my credit cards. He accesses everything. He's been with me 20 years. He's like a son to me, literally. I
Love
trust him fully. Now, we didn't start that way. We started with minor tasks. That went pretty well. Let's do SOPs, standard operating procedures on those. Okay, let's do this. And then over the years, it just evolved where, I had a client say to me once, Terry, if you, God forbid, if you ever got hit by a bus, I don't think it's another business consultant who would come in and take your business over. And I went, what? And they said, I think James could do it. And I just kind of laughed.
Very good compliment. Yes, I
This
love
is
that.
huge. He's not the business consultant, but to be very honest with you, he's the thing that drives the business. He's the thing, the person that brings the ROI. So
Mm.
when you can assign tasks that are going to bring you an ROI, I don't look at bringing a VA on your team as an expense. Marketing and innovation are the only things that bring you an ROI. Any thoughts about, I'm on my little soapbox here, I can't help it.
No, I love that. Well, let me just highlight something that you said about SOPs. Most of my clients, again, being a solopreneur, you're not documenting what you're doing on the day to day, right?
Sure.
When you let someone else into your world to start documenting these things, you can start thinking about the why. There may be things within your industry that you do that are not efficient, but it has to be done that way. Or it's like, I didn't know a better way. And then let your VA speak into that and say, well, here's a tool that can make that a lot easier. Not only it helps for your VA to be able to pull things off your plate, but as you continue to grow, you have those systems in place to let other people into your world and set them up. Because what I see is so many people hire without a plan. And then they're like, well, we need a director of operations, but there's no KPIs, there's nothing. And then the person is floundering. So when you have those systems documented, as small as your business is, as you grow, it's just easier to keep up with them. And as far as having that person that can operate, in your shoes, and it is an investment. I tell my clients that first month is the hardest payment, right? It's the unknown. You don't know. It's a big investment. My clients, it's not where it's nothing to, take on an expense, but once they see that ROI, it's the easiest payment they'll make.
There, to me, there can't be a better investment in your business. There really can't. I was listening to a podcast this morning when I was working out. And one of the things that the person said on the podcast is the most important thing you have in life isn't your health. And I remember, like, what? It's your time,
Mm.
because we're all losing that every day that we're on the planet. We don't know when we're losing it completely. We're all losing it. And so if you're caught in the mundane, you can't go out there and help people and transform lives. And I always think about the airplane with the oxygen mask, right? Because I was a business owner that literally had no oxygen. I was like suffocating myself, trying to do everything. And by the way, things were disorganized. I always remember this. I paid someone money that I should have paid someone else. I went to PayPal and I put the money in the wrong person's account. And I'm like, oh my gosh, then I had to figure out, how do I get the money back? I mean, it's just all this silly stuff that I've spent time, money, and energy. And when I heard that thing about time, like, you're right, it's our most precious commodity. We can't get it back. So if you can have more of that, less stress, less overwhelm, more money coming in, better ROI for the money going out to make an investment in a team member, to me, that's when you've moved to the CEO chair. And that's
Yes.
when your business can scale. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I actually did a LinkedIn post last week or the week before. I'm a big DIYer at home, and I'll just give you a quick little story. So I was painting this lantern and I was on a step stool and it was rusted. And I was like, oh, I'm going to put new life into this. And I painted it and it looked beautiful. And then I got a taller ladder. And when I went up, I realized I missed the whole top and the back side and everything. And it struck me, how many times as leaders are our nose in the minutia
Ooh.
and we are not taking that elevated perspective and spotting those gaps and holes? That's what a CEO does. A CEO is not in the weeds. You have to elevate yourself. And when you're bogged down by the day to day, you can't do it.
This is so valuable. Please let people know the best way to get in touch with you. And I just want to say from my heart, I've known Darlene probably a year or more now. I am amazed at who she is, what Peachtree does. And by the way, like, I would highly recommend you even subscribe to the newsletter that they have at Peachtree. It's super valuable with lots of tools and tips. So what's the best way for people to connect?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn. I will give you my LinkedIn and as well as peachtreeva.com. You mentioned the newsletter, and we're always about giving value. If you go to our website, we have resources you can download all free. And we just really want our entrepreneurs to succeed, and we're in the business with them. And Terry, it is always a pleasure to connect with you, and we appreciate you.
Thank you so much for your time. And listen, I love all of you. And I'm saying with love, get your little butts in the CEO chair. It's important that you move into the CEO chair and you will not regret this decision. Trust me, when I work with someone who wants to scale their business, I don't care if they have just started out and have a handful of clients or they're booked with a ton. This is the next thing to do. Thanks again for joining me today, Darlene.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.